I'm hiding in my apartment bathroom at 3 a.m., listening to men with guns tear apart my living room, and all I can think about is how stupid I was to say no to Yoon Seo's proposal. 6 months ago, the most powerful man in the city got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. 6 months ago, I looked at that diamond ring worth more than most people's houses and told him I couldn't be bought. Now those same men I was so afraid of becoming involved with are hunting me down, and the man whose protection I rejected is the only person who can keep me alive. "We know you're here, Maya," one of them calls out. His voice is calm, patient, like he's got all night to find me. Jung-min wants to have a conversation. Jung-min, Yoon Seo's biggest rival, the man who's been waiting for any sign of weakness to make his move. Apparently my rejection of Yoon Seo's proposal was the opening he needed. If I'd said yes 6 months ago, I'd be untouchable right now. Jung-min wouldn't dare come after Yoon Seo's wife. But the stubborn waitress who insisted on her independence? She's fair game. My phone buzzes. Unknown number, but I know exactly who it is. "I heard you have visitors." Even through text, I can hear Yoon Seo's voice. Calm, controlled, with that hint of amusement that used to drive me crazy. I text back with shaking fingers. "Help me." "That's not how this works anymore, Maya. You made your choice." "I made a mistake." "Yes, you did." The bathroom door handle rattles. They found me. "Please," I text desperately. "I'll do anything." The response comes immediately. "Anything is a dangerous word." "I mean it. Marry me. Tonight. No questions, no conditions, no running away this time." Through the thin bathroom door, I can hear them talking about the best way to break it down without damaging whatever they plan to do to me afterward. 6 months ago, marrying Yoon Seo felt like selling my soul. Tonight it feels like salvation. "Yes," I type. "Say it properly." Even now, even with my life hanging in the balance, he's making me work for it. "Yoon Seo, will you marry me?" "Better. Hold on." 2 minutes later, the men in my living room start screaming. Not angry screaming, fear screaming. The kind of sounds people make when they realize they've made a fatal mistake. Then silence. A soft knock on the bathroom door. "Maya, it's safe now." I open the door and there he is. Yoon Seo in that perfect black suit, not a hair out of place, like he just came from a business meeting instead of whatever he did to the men who were hunting me. "Hello, wife," he says, and his smile is beautiful and terrifying. You know that moment when pride costs you everything and you'd give anything for a second chance? When the person you pushed away was actually the only one standing between you and disaster? If you've ever realized too late that rejecting someone's protection was the biggest mistake of your life, hit subscribe. Because sometimes the cage you're running from is actually the only thing keeping you safe. 6 months ago, I thought Yoon Seo's marriage proposal was about ownership. I was wrong. It was about survival. "Marry me," he said, down on one knee in his private office, holding a ring that could have paid off every debt in my neighborhood. "I barely know you," I replied, which was a lie. I knew him well enough to know that marrying him would mean never being just Maya the waitress ever again. "You know enough. I know you're dangerous. I know you're in love with me." That stopped me cold because it was true. 3 months of lunch deliveries, 3 months of careful conversations and stolen glances, 3 months of falling for a man whose world I didn't understand but whose loneliness I recognized completely. "That's not enough," I said. "It's everything. Yoon Seo, I can't be the kind of wife you need. I don't know your world, I don't understand your business, I can't." "I'm not asking you to understand my business. I'm asking you to trust me with your life." "Why? Why me?" "Because in 3 months of watching you, you're the only person who's ever looked at me and seen just a man instead of a monster." The honesty in his voice almost broke my resolve. Almost. I need time to think. Time is a luxury we don't have. What does that mean? Yoon Seo stood up, the ring box still open in his hand. It means Young Min is planning something. It means the balance of power in this city is shifting. It means everyone I care about becomes a target. Including me? Especially you. I should have listened. Should have heard the warning in his voice, the genuine fear behind his calm exterior. Instead, I heard possession, control, a man trying to lock me away for his own convenience. I can take care of myself. No, Maya, you can't. I've been taking care of myself my whole life. Not against people like Jung Min. Not against the kind of enemies who see hurting you as the best way to hurt me. Then maybe you shouldn't care about me. The words came out harder than I meant them. But I was scared. Scared of what marrying him would mean, scared of losing myself in his world, scared of becoming someone I didn't recognize. Too late for that, he said quietly. Yoon Seo. Take the ring, Maya. Not because you love me, not because you want to marry me, but because keeping you alive is the only thing that matters to me now. I stared at that ring, at the man holding it, at the choice between safety and independence. I can't, I whispered. Something in his eyes died. Then I can't help you. What does that mean? It means when Young Min comes for you, and he will come for you, you'll face him alone. You'd really just abandon me? I'd really respect your choice to abandon me. He closed the ring box, put it in his jacket pocket, and walked to his desk like the conversation was over. I should go, I said. Yes, you should. I made it to the door before turning back. Yoon Seo? Yes. If I change my mind? You won't get the chance. He was wrong about that. I did get the chance. Tonight, with Jung Min's men breaking down my door, I got the chance to choose again. This time I chose right. 2 hours later, I'm wearing a white dress that costs more than my yearly salary, standing in front of a judge who definitely didn't expect to perform a wedding at 5 a.m. Do you, Maya Johnson, take Yoon Seo Park to be your lawfully wedded husband? The words feel surreal coming out of the judge's mouth. 6 months ago, I was so sure that marrying him would be a mistake. Now, saying yes feels like the first smart decision I've made all year. I do. Yoon Seo's eyes never leave mine during the ceremony. There's something different about him tonight. Not the patient, controlled man who proposed 6 months ago. Something harder, more possessive. You may kiss the bride. When his lips touch mine, it's not gentle or romantic. It's claiming, marking. A reminder that I belong to him now in ways I didn't fully understand when I agreed to this. Hello, Mrs. Park, he whispers against my mouth. Mrs. Park. The name I could have had 6 months ago if I hadn't been so stubborn about my independence. After the judge leaves with what I'm guessing is enough money to buy his silence, Yoon Seo and I are alone in his penthouse. The same penthouse where he proposed, the same room where I broke his heart and apparently signed my own death warrant. What happened to Young Min's men? I ask. They're not your concern anymore. Did you kill them? Do you want me to lie to you? I want you to tell me the truth. The truth is that anyone who threatens my wife faces consequences. Permanent ones. My wife. The words send a chill down my spine that's equal parts fear and something else I don't want to name. What about Young Min himself? What about him? Is he going to stop now, because we're married? Yoon Seo walks to the window, looking out at the city that I'm starting to realize he owns more of than I ever imagined. Young Min made this personal when he went after you. Marriage doesn't end that kind of war, it escalates it. What does that mean for me? It means your life as Maya Johnson, independent waitress, is over. Maya Park, my wife, lives by different rules. What kind of rules? He turns back to me, and his expression is intense, almost predatory. My rules. You go where I say when I say. You trust my security with your life. You don't make decisions about your safety without consulting me first. That sounds like a prison. That sounds like staying alive. And if I don't like it? If I decide this was a mistake? Then you should have thought about that before you said yes. The finality in his voice makes something cold settle in my stomach. I didn't just marry him. I signed a contract written in blood. Yoon Seo, I say carefully. What exactly did I agree to tonight? His smile is beautiful and terrifying. Everything, Maya. You agreed to everything. The next morning, I wake up in a bed that's not mine, wearing jewelry I didn't put on, in a world where everything familiar has disappeared overnight. Good morning, Mrs. Park. Yoon Seo is already dressed, sitting in a chair by the window like he's been watching me sleep. There's something about the way he says my new name that makes my skin prickle with awareness and fear. How long have you been sitting there? Long enough to appreciate how peaceful you look when you're not fighting me. I sit up, pulling the silk sheets around me like armor. About last night. Are you having regrets already? I'm having questions. Such as? Such as what happens now? Do I go back to work? Do I go back to my apartment? Your apartment was compromised. My people are moving your things here today. You didn't ask me. I don't need to ask anymore. That's what marriage means. The casual way he says it makes anger flare in my chest. Marriage means partnership. It doesn't mean ownership. In my world, Maya, it means both. He stands up, adjusting his tie with movements that are too precise to be casual. Everything about him screams control, power, possession. Your job at the restaurant is finished. You won't be needing it. That job was mine. My independence, Your independence almost got you killed. His voice cuts through my protest like a blade. Your old life made you a target. Your new life makes you untouchable. And if I don't want your new life? Then you should have married someone else. I didn't have a choice. You had 6 months to make a different choice. You chose pride over protection. Last night you chose survival over pride. Both were choices, Maya. Own them. The truth in his words hits like a physical blow. He's right. I did choose this. Chose him. Chose this life where my decisions belong to someone else because I was too scared to choose it when it would have been on my terms. What do you want from me? I ask quietly. I want you to be my wife. Really be my wife. Not the version of yourself you're comfortable with, but the version that can survive in my world. What if I can't be that person? Then we'll both find out what happens when someone like Young Min realizes that the great Yoon Seo Park's biggest weakness is a woman who refuses to let him protect her. He heads toward the door, then stops. Maya? Yes? 6 months ago, when I proposed, I was asking you to choose love over fear. Last night, you chose me over death. Today, you get to choose whether you want to fight this marriage or embrace it. And if I choose to fight it? Then you'll lose, and probably get us both killed in the process. After he leaves, I sit in that huge, empty bedroom and realize something that makes my blood run cold. I didn't just marry him for protection. I married him because 6 months ago, walking away from him was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Now, I have to figure out if being his wife will be harder than losing him was. 3 weeks into being Mrs. Park, I'm learning that my husband's idea of protection looks a lot like house arrest with designer clothes. Where are you going? Yoon Seo asks as I head toward the door. Coffee shop down the street. I need air that doesn't smell like marble and money. Take Marcus with you. Marcus is my bodyguard. 6'4", built like a truck, follows me everywhere, including to the bathroom door. Having him shadow my every move makes me feel less like a wife and more like a prisoner with benefits. I'm going 2 blocks, Yoon-seo. I think I can handle buying coffee without military escort. Jung-min is still out there. His people are watching, waiting for you to give them an opportunity. So I'm supposed to never leave this building? You're supposed to stay alive. We've had this fight every day for 3 weeks. Me wanting some piece of my old independence, him reminding me that my old independence nearly got me killed. I miss my life, I say quietly. Your life was working double shifts to afford rent on a studio apartment in a neighborhood where gunshots were background noise. It was mine. And now you have something better. Do I? Because this feels like being an expensive pet. Something dangerous flickers in his eyes. Is that really what you think you are to me? The question hangs between us like a loaded weapon, because honestly, I don't know what I am to him anymore. The woman he proposed to 6 months ago, or the liability he had to marry to keep alive. I think I'm the woman who said no when you wanted me and yes when I needed you. I think that changes things. It changes everything. He moves closer, and I can smell his cologne, can see the frustration and something else in his dark eyes. Maya, do you know why I proposed to you 6 months ago? Because you were lonely. Because I was different from the women in your world. Because I was already in love with you and terrified of what that meant. The confession hits me like a physical blow. What? I was in love with a waitress who could have been killed just for knowing me. So I offered you the only protection I could give, my name, my resources, my life. And when I said no, I spent 6 months trying to forget you and failing, trying to let you go and watching you from the shadows because I couldn't stop caring if you were safe. My heart stops. You were watching me? Every day, my people kept you under surveillance. Not controlling, just making sure Jung-min didn't get to you before you figured out you needed me. You've been protecting me this whole time? Since the day you walked out of my office. I stare at him, this man who let me think I was choosing independence while secretly keeping me alive. Why didn't you tell me? Because you needed to choose me freely. Not because you were scared, not because you were cornered, but because you wanted to. And now? Now you chose me because you were scared and cornered, so I don't know what we have anymore. You know that moment when you realize someone loved you even when you were pushing them away? When the person you thought was trying to control you was actually the only thing keeping you safe? Hit subscribe if you've ever discovered that rejecting someone's love didn't make it disappear. It just made them love you from a distance. That night, I find Yoon-seo in his study, staring at security monitors that show every angle of the building, every entrance, every possible threat. Can't sleep? I ask. Jung-min's been quiet for 3 weeks, and that's not his style. Maybe he gave up. Men like Jung-min don't give up. They regroup. I walk over to the monitors, looking at the feeds of empty hallways and sleeping guards. Is this what your life is always like? Constant surveillance, constant fear? Constant vigilance, there's a difference. Not much of one. He turns in his chair to look at me. I'm wearing one of his shirts and nothing else, and something in his eyes changes when he takes in the sight. Maya, what are we doing here? What do you mean? I mean, are we married because you love me or because you need me? The question I've been avoiding for 3 weeks, the one that keeps me awake at night staring at the ceiling. 6 months ago, I say slowly, when you proposed, I said no because I was terrified of losing myself in your world. And now? Now I'm terrified I already lost myself and I don't know if that's good or bad. I move closer to his chair, close enough to see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of carrying responsibility for my life on top of everything else. Yoon-seo, do you regret marrying me? Never. But I regret that it took you almost dying to say yes. Why? Because now I'll never know if you chose me or just chose survival? The pain in his voice breaks something inside me. Can I tell you something? Always. 6 months ago, walking away from you was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Not because I didn't love you, but because I did. His hands still on the armrests of his chair. I was terrified of becoming someone I didn't recognize. But these 3 weeks living here, being your wife, I'm not becoming someone different. I'm becoming who I was meant to be. Which is? Someone strong enough to love a man like you, someone brave enough to fight for what we have instead of running from what scares me. I climb onto his lap, straddling his chair, my hands framing his face. I didn't marry you just for protection, Yoon-seo. I married you because losing you once almost killed me, and I was too proud to admit it. When he kisses me this time, it's not claiming or possessive. It's relief, hope, love that's been held back for too long. Maya, he whispers against my lips. Yes? I need you to know something. About Young-min, about what's coming. What's coming? War. Real war. And this time you won't be watching from the sidelines. The way he says it makes me realize that being Mrs. Park means more than just wearing his ring. It means becoming someone who can survive what's coming next. 2 days later, I'm standing in Young-min's warehouse with a gun in my hand, and I'm about to discover that everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. You came, Jung-min says, his voice echoing in the empty space. Just you and your husband as requested. Let's get this over with, Yoon-seo replies, but there's something in his voice I've never heard before. Not anger, something like sadness? Maya, Jung-min says, and the way he looks at me makes my skin crawl. Do you know why your husband really married you? Because he loves me. Because you're the key to everything he's ever wanted. Jung-min pulls out a photograph, slides it across the concrete floor. It shows a little girl, maybe 5 years old, standing next to a Korean woman I've never seen before. Recognize her? Jung-min asks. I pick up the photo and my blood turns to ice. The little girl has my eyes, my nose, my smile. That's impossible. Your mother wasn't who she told you she was, Maya. She was Korean. She was married to a very powerful man before she came to America and reinvented herself as a single mother. The warehouse starts spinning. You're lying. The powerful man she left behind, he spent 25 years looking for his wife and daughter. He died last year, but not before leaving everything to his only child. Maya, Yoon-seo says quietly, you're Lee Chin-sun's daughter. You're the heir to the largest criminal empire on the West Coast. My legs give out. I sit down hard on the concrete, the photo still clutched in my shaking hands. The restaurant where you worked? I owned it. I've been watching you for 2 years, waiting for the right moment to tell you who you really are. And Young-min? My father's oldest friend. We've been protecting you together, Maya. The attack on your apartment, the threats, the marriage. All of it was to keep you safe until you were ready to take your place. I look between the 2 men I thought were enemies. See the way they're standing, the way they're looking at each other. Not with hatred, with the familiarity of old allies. You planned everything? We planned everything, Yoon-seo confirms. Including falling in love with you. That part wasn't supposed to happen. So what happens now? Now you choose, Jung-min says. Walk away from all of this, take the money that's rightfully yours, and live a normal life. Or step into the world your father built and rule it the way it was meant to be ruled. With you? I ask Yoon-seo. If you'll have me, not as your protector anymore, as your partner. I stand up, dust off my jeans and look at these 2 men who've just turned my entire world upside down. My whole life has been a lie? Your whole life has been preparation, Young Min corrects. You know that moment when you discover your entire identity was built on secrets? When the people you trusted most were hiding the biggest truth about who you are? If you've ever found out that your family, your history, your very name was protecting you from something you never knew existed, hit subscribe. Because sometimes the life you think you're living is just the prologue to the story you were actually born to tell. What family secret changed everything you thought you knew about yourself? Share it below. We all have that moment when we realized we weren't who we thought we were.